Hello, this is Casey Chan, and this is my arc length project for Dr. Navard's class. The path that I will be focusing on is a running path around the Edward H. Bryan Elementary School field. The reason why this path is so important to me is because when I was in elementary school, as part of our gym class, we were required to run a mile around this field. I remember wanting to go as fast as possible around the field, and today I want to calculate how far I actually ran. So the first thing that I did was to map out the path itself using the Google Maps website. I found the address for Edward H. Bryan School and superimposed a polygon representing my path on top of the map. Then, I used the Google Maps ruler function to find the coordinates for different points along the path. I marked the origin as a point in the leftmost corner of the picture, a little below the leftmost corner of the running path. From there, I used the ruler function to find the vertical and horizontal distances from the origin to the other points. I found 3 points on the top parabola of the graph and 3 points on the bottom parabola. These points at the top and the bottom of the graph were placed at the lowest point of each parabola and at each parabola's endpoints. Then, as indicated here, another point was used to mark the midpoint of one of the vertical lines connecting the two parabolas. I also made sure to pick points which indicated the endpoints of the two vertical lines, as well as the endpoints of the parabolas, so that these points, when graphed, would form a full polygon representing my path. I then used the distance formula to calculate the lengths of the vertical lines. The two lines connected the points 080 to 18,391 and 418.83 to 407.385. I then checked my calculated distances using the ruler function on Google Maps. The lengths recorded by Google Maps closely matched the distances that I had calculated, namely 311.52 feet and 302.2 feet. I then plotted the previously mentioned points using the Desmos graphing calculator program. I then created a graph connecting these points by using linear and quadratic regression. The Desmos program is unique because it follows very specific parameters. The points that I wanted to connect were placed into data tables, and then I entered the expressions seen below the tables. Each of these expressions were related to the data in a data table. For example, this expression right here, containing x sub 1 and y sub 1, relates to the table above it. By entering these expressions, I was able to connect all of the points and find the regression equations of the parabolas and the vertical lines. The values of the variables, for example m in this case, are shown in a smaller font underneath the expressions for the regressions. So after finding the quadratic regression equation for the bottom parabola, I found the derivative of this regression equation. Then, I found the quadratic regression equation for the top parabola and found its derivative. Once I found the derivatives, I used the arc length formula and I put it into my calculator. I substituted the expression for the derivative of regression equation 1 into the arc length formula. So this is the arc length formula for the bottom parabola. I then repeated the process for the top parabola, parabola 2. I found the lengths of the arcs over the indicated range of x coordinates. Thus, the total distance of the entire running path is the sum of the lengths of the two vertical lines plus the distance of the two parabolas. I checked my answer, which was 0.355155 miles, using the Google Maps marker for the path. The path length that I calculated is very similar to the recorded path length of 0.291 miles. I then calculated the amount of laps needed to complete 1 mile by dividing 1 mile by 0.355155 miles to find that you'd have to run about 2.8 laps in order to run a mile around this field. So my gym teachers had made our class run 3 laps around the fields to complete the mile. According to my calculations, we ran a little bit over 1 mile each class. But when I was younger, I remember that I might have cut some corners, so I probably ran approximately 1 mile during my gym classes. Thank you for listening to my presentation.